Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and a warm welcome back to the Apparel Store series as well. Today we're going to look into lifetime value optimization. And as an Apparel Store owner, you know that you have a challenge of constantly acquiring new customers, and you understand the costly customer acquisition problem. So most likely on your first sale, you will have a very high cost per sale, which will then go down as the people get more familiar with the brand, and you don't need to work as hard to get returning visitors back to your store, as you of course have a good customer experience. So one of the ways that you can justify having a high customer acquisition cost on the first sale is to make that money back here. Because if you can get people to this loop where you will be making high revenue with low cost per sale, then you're going to make your money back. Now the problem is that, especially in apparel, people are not always that happy. You face a problem of high competition, relatively poor product qualities, poor product fits in terms of sizing, and that's why many apparel stores are struggling. Of course, also the expectations are high. People expect things fast and expect things to fit all kinds of different bodies, etc. So the question is, how do we get you here, there? You do get these second, third, fourth sales, etc. And that's what we're going to focus on in this video. Let's get you into this loop where you will be making higher revenues for each visitor and each customer as things go along. And for that, we're going to take a look at some more advanced strategies today. So not the most cookie cutter thing. And let's see how we can help you maximize your purchase frequency. Before we do that, like the video to keep me super motivated to produce value here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I myself am Samuel Larsen, founder of CROgurus.com, work with dozen or so fashion e-commerce stores, as well as other very related apparel stores as well. So we've implemented these store strategies to our customers, and we know that these are proven to work across several stores, not only a single one. So you are in for a treat. Let's jump into it. All right, the very first idea is a VIP program. And with VIP programs, you are building these relationships beyond the first sale and looking to build long-term loyalty with the customer. So concept is very simple. You have actions and you reward those actions in some way. Usually it is points, so people will get points from every purchase. Very similar to what airlines use, for example, and credit cards, etc. And the more you purchase them, the more these recurring discounts and perks grow and allow them to get better deals. So as you see here, you have 3x, 2x, that kind of thing. And here in the apparel niche, it's specifically advantageous since especially fashion is a very size-specific industry. So if we're thinking of people finding their size in that particular store and particular brand, then it's likely that they have more confidence ordering from that brand again. And this also reduces these returns. So you kind of win on both fronts. And that's partly why all these fashion stores are piling up to get their reward programs really working. So here's Nordstrom as an example. I'll go over a few different ones. It's an example of how it works. So a nice illustration here. So once people have the sizes that they know and love, they are more likely to keep them, and then your orders will be more profitable because of that. So returns are of course a huge problem. If you haven't implemented one yet and are thinking of it, it is not going to be one of these tactical heavens where you implement the VIP program and suddenly people never churn. They will, and people generally are not as excited about your VIP program as you are. However, it can be one of those things that adding it can make a long-term impact, and you are often better off having one if you already have a fair bit of orders and customers coming in than not having it. Especially when you think of a typical e-commerce store on Shopify, they actually treat their customers worse than the new visitors with these discounts. So this is a good way to overcome that. So here's some more examples of that. So you can check this out. They're all available, easy to find, and then model them. There's also a lot of Shopify apps that do this exact thing. So it is more important or more easy than it has ever been. The last thing to say about the VIP programs is that the rewards might vary a little bit. So for example, on the VIP perks, it doesn't always have to be discounts. So it can be something related to the orders. So for example, free shipping and these kinds of things. So you'll incentivize it that way, in a way that is more suitable for a high-end brand. So for example, if you don't want to discount, and maybe you even cannot discount because you might have MIP policies or something like this, then you can think of different ways to get around it. For example, free shipping is a good one. Gifts are good ones as well. They work really well. So take a look at those. And of course, there's also the classic refer a friend to receive a percentage off. Typically, also one of the things that merchants get really excited about, but is not going to be a magic bullet. So treat every one of these as one of these things that can help you a little bit. And by stacking them up, you can get big gains. Moving on to our next strategy, and that is product bundling. And this one is specifically powerful because there's a lot of stores with a lot of seasonality, especially in apparel. And since winters are not summers and springs are not autumns, there's a lot of reason for people to come back and circle these stores on a fairly regular basis, and that can help on LTV. However, one of the issues is that it can also bring a lot of decision fatigue to constantly go and shop, and there this kind of thing can be alleviated a little bit with bundling. So you simply pick products that work well together. So for example, here you have the jacket and then you might have the pants. And then with these looks, etc., you can create a little bit of ongoing buzz of new products, new product combinations, and then people will be more curious to come back to the site and look at what's new, etc. So this helps from that perspective. It makes it easier for the customer. It makes it easier for you to sell multiple products at once. And the idea is also to build a little bit of a dopamine loop. So you can bundle and save, so you feel good about your purchase. And then you can continuously find new affordable products that can be good impulse buys and provide attractive offers for people to come back. And here also with this, especially with seasonality, it's very possible to make them believably time-bound. So people know that these offers will not be available forever. One more thing to say about bundling is that once people have found their size and they understand that this certain piece of clothing is suitable for them, then it's very easy for them to shop with confidence and purchase again from that size. So you can have a thing where the size of the order increases as the orders increase. So the third order is usually bigger than the first order, for example. And then people ideally become almost positively trapped into purchasing and looking at bundles, shopping for deals, etc. And also bundles are one of the ways that you can produce discounts without hurting your brand image. So a very useful tool from that perspective as well. All right. So far, these two suggestions have been maybe a bit basic. You might have heard of them before. Now, I want to get more advanced with the next suggestions. And this is one where you probably won't find these in like regular blogs, etc. So first, market analysis, both from internal and external. Let's cover the internal first. So with each particular action, there's a lifetime value associated to that particular action. Now, here's an example from our backend. and how this looks like. I have deleted the product names here in order to not be as transparent, because what I want this information to be public. It's a fairly large store, as you can see from the revenue statistics. But we see here, if you imagine each line is a new product or its own product, we can see how this affects the lifetime value. So it's not only about the first time revenue, it's also about repeating revenue and how that leads to lifetime value. So you can have these different products and understand how they affect the retention rate. So for example, on this one, we have 12%, here we have almost 16%, and here we have 16%. So that is quite a big difference in terms of retention rates. And because of this, we might want to lead with a product with a higher retention rate instead of this one. Now, of course, like we noticed, so we've already balanced this out a little bit. On most stores, you would have a little bit of a starker difference here in terms of how these retention rates and churn rates play into each other. So something to take a look at, and I understand this is more advanced, so it's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but it is one where you can help in understanding yourself, like to understand which products lead to which customer loyalties. And then you can start building high value customers that are the customers that are most likely to stick with your store, and over time you'll make a lot of money out of them. And this helps also understanding their preferences long term, their happiness with the product, this sort of natural bridge to purchasing more products, and then you can even develop and feature more similar products because you know that this is one that matches these needs. Okay, next we have marketing channel statistics. Same thing here, very important for the lifetime value optimization. So we have here, for example, Facebook, and we see that, again, there's quite a bit of repeat revenue coming from here. We can actually calculate this out and see also how these lead to these different long-term lifetime values. So looking at things beyond the first order and identifying which channels are more fickle. So for example, like we have a terrible retention rate on Google here and a very good one on, say, email, which is not surprising. But understanding that will then help in deprioritizing Google, even though on the first hand it might look like a very good channel. And this rabbit hole can go really deep. Now you can check discounts, country, states, whatever, like basically whatever the variable you want to check, it's available in some way when you just have the right data. And for that, there's some apps that can help you understand them. Most of them are not that cheap. But then again, if this is a real problem for you, you are probably making fair bit of revenue already, so you can afford those. More for a beginner level is the external analysis. So we use different tools for this. This is one that you can check. So you just put your store or competitor store that is slightly bigger into it, and then you can see, for example, what are the competing SEO sites here. Load them up and check how they differ from yours. And most likely, it's good to have these like open up in dApps, maybe look at all of the product pages one by one or collection pages one by one. And this way you can get an idea of what opportunities exist out there that you are not aware of in terms of how to structure the site. And maybe even see like which parts you are actually doing better than the others, where's your advantage. And you can check and see which features you might want to build into your own store. So this ensures that you know that your store is competitive, and you can also look into these different stores in terms of their revenue, their reviews, which products are popular. There's a wealth of information and knowledge available from this sort of external looking into and analyzing and investigation that is possible. Okay, next up is a quicker one. So suggestion number 4, simply price testing. So you have your products, you have your categories. You can easily check and test the different pricing. And here, some products will have a lot more price sensitivity than others. And with price sensitivity being an issue in some products, you might want to accept lower margins. If the price is elastic, you'd want to increase the price because you're not going to have enough customers stopping the purchase. And getting the pricing right is a huge thing. It can really be a make or break moment. And there's too many merchants that just assume this cost plus margin pricing without properly testing it. So hugely valuable. We've constantly found that getting pricing wrong by just like 10 or 20%, especially in apparel because there's a lot of comparison, can already make a huge difference. And often it is the difference between a stagnating store and a growing, thriving business. So a lot of opportunities in terms of this. Don't overlook it. And it is really also an opportunity to understand the elements that go into the customer lifetime value as well. Because if you know the lifetime value of the customer, this can be included in this calculation. So you are not just optimizing for the front end of the store. So it will help in getting these long-term profitable clients as well. The idea as well with this is a lifetime value optimization video. Not all customers are as valuable as others. So often if a product performs equally well on a higher price, you will get better customers through the door. You will get less of them, usually, but they will be higher lifetime value customers. The final thing I would add to this is the more likely people are to return the store, so the higher the returning visitor rate on Google Analytics, the more we can typically amp up the price because people are less price sensitive. So that plays into these calculations, and it's a good indicator that you might have more price elasticity as you previously may have thought. All right, lastly, lifetime value analysis. So there's a bunch of different apps, software, etc. You can even do this in a spreadsheet, but I wouldn't recommend it because it can be a little bit complicated. It's simply understanding how are these different user cohorts performing. And you can see even like, say you run a lot of discounts in December. How does that affect how people perform in month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5? And is it actually one where you are simply getting a lot of initial sales on December, and then none of these customers really want to purchase without the discounts? And maybe you can even see that in January, because you had this period of sales, you cannibalize your initial orders from that. So something to look into. And here, the more time you can spend in like really deeply thinking about these cohorts, the better you're able to make those connections. So it does really require sitting down, spending the time, understanding that, or seeking to understand, being curious, and keeping exploring. And then beautiful things can happen from there, where eventually you can get repeat customers to take on a higher and higher chunk of your revenue. And that's a beautiful thing. You have built something that is a lasting legacy business when you have this happen. And this is what all these big brands, H&M, Zara, they're not making their money from first-time visitors. They have loyal customers that they have done the hard work before, and now they are profiting because of that. So keep that in mind. The first sale is the hardest, but the beautiful things happen beyond that first sale if you just simply manage your lifetime value well. And you really spend the time and attention to it so that you can be an LTV master. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you like this stuff, like it again and subscribe to the channel. Next time we're going to look at email flow optimization, which will be massively relevant for this particular topic as well. A lot of the lifetime value optimization will be done with email. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. See you next one. Cheers.